Здрасте, дорогие друзья, у нас с вами воскресный вебинар, долгожданный.
Hello, dear friends. We are beginning our Sunday webinar, and we're going to talk about a very interesting topic. It's very personal. It's like a spring cleaning for a person's life. Here in the studio is Dr. Michael Laitman, Michael Sinlevich, and me, Semyon Vinokur. Don't be surprised that our teacher being surprised by this topic. We never tell them the topic in advance. I know him, this is how he prefers it. I've known him for 20 years, and this is exactly how he likes it done. Even back when we did radio shows, he never liked to know the topic beforehand. So let's start. We have a lot of people connected to us. We have a translation into 22 languages. We're going to ask questions as they come in, select the most interesting ones. So let's start. Now, spring cleaning in one's personal life. The first question is, if we're talking about spring cleaning, general cleaning, then what can we consider life's garbage that we need to clean? Rav. So these are the questions you're going to ask me, huh? Well, life's garbage is what we can consider everything that doesn't pertain to a person's, what remains after a person's life is over. We imagine the piles and mountains of garbage that remains after life is over, and it's not there yet. It doesn't remain. The connections that we make with people, we try to make them in such a way that the Creator would be revealed in that connection. Everything else is garbage. No one needs it. And whatever we accumulate, it's pointless. And almost everyone lives life this way, except for those who come to Kabbalah and to actualize this connection correctly. Nothing else remains. That is the very, very direct question. Rav, yes, a very direct question, and here is my very direct answer. I'm giving it to you straight, and then you do with it what you want. If a person he uses life in order to come to the meaning of life, to the purpose of life, and takes everything that happens to him in that way, then it's a conscious development. Host. So we say that a person needs to be a citizen, needs to have a life, a family. Rav. He needs to behave correctly in this life, but what's the most important, what is truly the importance of his actions, the correctness of his actions, is that he only has one goal that he is pursuing, to reveal the Creator in this life. This is what Kabbalah, this is the definition Kabbalah gives us. This is what the wisdom of Kabbalah is. The revelation of the Creator to the creatures in this life. Host. So, can you please clarify what this means, the revelation of the Creator to the creatures? Rav. It means that I reveal all of the universe, this entire system that is governing our material world, this entire gigantic computer and the brain of it that I reveal and I connect to fully, I integrate with, I understand it completely, I'm connected to it, and also control it, this actual brain. This is the state that the person needs to attain. As it is written, my sons have defeated me. This is the upper brain that we must all attain, and it's possible in this life. I invite all of you to do it. Host. So we have a person who graduated from our Kabbalah Academy courses asks, what can we remove if everything that we receive is from the Creator? It's all for benefit, and all the negative things are the transformation of our desires. Rav, no. Look, the Creator throws all kinds of garbage into our lives, and it is on us to select the things that we need from it and discard the rest, to sort these things. This sorting process, what's good, what's bad, that's what creates correct creatures out of us. This is how we begin to understand how the Creator acts towards us. Host. So most of our life is garbage, right? 99%, Rav. I'm not saying the percentage. I'm just saying everything that he throws to us, he throws as in the form of garbage. And the sorting of what's needed and what's not needed to make sense of this great, huge mechanism of life the Creator gave us. This is what we need to do. Of course, everything we see before us is this mountain of garbage, but there are gold deposits. Host. Well, look, we have like this gigantic sports industry and movies and all sorts of things. What are the values that are represented here? What is the purpose of all the efforts that people make here? What is the deal, Rav? It is precisely by luring the person, drawing them in, and clarifying, scrutinizing what's important, what's necessary, seeing the difference between light and darkness, purposeful and empty, pointless, constantly selecting, choosing between these things, and gradually to shape out of these scrutinies, they would reveal this tremendous mechanism. Host. You know, there are 11,000 movies that come out every year, and I watched a few of them, but I can't. How do you make sense of it? How do you sort them? Rav, no, you shouldn't do that. Why would you waste your time on this stuff? I sometimes watch, some movies about science, documentaries, because they help me explain certain things, concepts. If they didn't, I wouldn't watch them. What else? I don't watch sports. I don't watch. Movies for the most part, fiction, comedy maybe once in a while. I like that when it's brilliant humor, and it has like those kind of great humorous twists. I enjoy that. But what else? Everything else is a person's concoctions, imagination. Even movies about famous composers and famous people. Everything else is like what? It's either like something vulgar, violence. What's the point? So that's my question. What is the point here? Why does it happen? For me to choose what to watch it or not? Rav, if you start truly being discriminative in your selective process, you will see that you really don't need the vast majority of it. Only it's the inner scrutinies that you need to make. When you're asking about what you're getting through this screen, through this box, what? It's nothing. So let's say it takes me half an hour as I eat breakfast to watch the news. At the most, even less, really. That's it. What else am I supposed to watch? There is regular news, news from science, and that's it. Host. Okay, next question. I understand that everything I have done before was the Creator's plan. Can I now make an agreement with Him and then remove the consequences of some of my past actions that are currently getting in the way of life? Rav, don't have to worry about the past at all. It does not figure at all whatsoever. Every moment a person is born anew. So just start your job, start your work right now. No matter how old you are. Even if I'm 70 years old, I'm starting work today as if I'm born anew, and it's not a problem. Host. Question from Tbilisi. What should I change in me? It's not very clear to me. What is this material path that you can combine in success with the spiritual path? Or maybe what is the connection between the material path that we walk and the spiritual one? Rav, I don't know what he means by material path and spiritual path. It needs to be one path. The goal that I give myself, that I set for myself, that's the path that I travel. Now, did I scrutinize very precisely for myself that I want to achieve the spiritual goal? The spiritual goal is to become one with the one spiritual force that governs everything. Call it the Creator, call it God, doesn't matter. Better yet, call it nature, that's the best. So if I choose this force, then I discard everything else except for what I need for my material, physical existence, because I do exist in an animal body, and this animal body needs to be fed. It needs to exist in particular conditions, everything that a person needs. Apartment, maintenance, medical assistance, and so on. All this needs to happen. It needs to exist. So I need to work. I need to work in order to provide for my mortal body, and everything else, everything that I need to work towards my soul, towards revealing the upper. That's all I need. That's all I want. In this way, I discard thousands, if not millions, of absolutely unnecessary, absolutely empty actions and hobbies, activities, and so on. And I feel free. Suddenly I have time for everything. I do preparation for the lesson, I read, I listen, I do these programs like right now, the one we're doing. In addition to my morning lesson, I work on different articles and publications and different newspapers, Ynet, Washington Post, and various other newspapers in the world and in Israel. I have time for everything, for all these things. I also give all sorts of lessons and lectures and do other TV programs that we film here in the studio. Host, what kind of entertainment do you consider worthy? So yeah, these are, people are asking here, what is the right kind of entertainment that Michael Laitman thinks is worthy of pushing the person towards revealing the true purpose in life? Rough. Music can be it. In my personality says, like brilliant humor, very smart. And that's it. Host, what kind of break do you hear? Like what's why do you how do you kind of take a break from to unwind, refresh yourself? Rough. Well, look, every day, every morning I take a walk with my wife, like 30-40 minutes. That's a tradition that we have. So it's gonna get warm soon, and I'm gonna be going out to the sea for a swim. What else about entertainment? I was biking for a long time. Just very recently, they told me that I can't bike anymore because there's a danger of me like breaking my bones. Swim. I like swimming, traveling. Host, you're talking about from this standpoint of Kabbalah or your own? Rough. No, my own. I like traveling. In addition to congresses, twice a year, I take my wife and I go somewhere for a week, or a little vacation. And what that means for us is that we go somewhere to some country and we just walk all day, every day, from morning till night. Host. Well, no, I'm asking for a general recommendation, Kabbalah, and every person is different. Every Kabbalist has hobbies. Rav, no, there's no such thing as hobbies. If a person is serious about Kabbalah, I haven't seen any of my students who are serious about Kabbalah have any sort of hobby. Host, like stamp collections? Rav, oh no, not like stamp collection. Oh, sports, yes. I can see a Kabbalist is respectful of sports, of being athletic, not to compete, not to get any prizes or anything. Host, what about your teacher? Did he do sports? Rav, yes, we did a lot of. We ran together. We went to the beach and we swam. We even did yoga. It wasn't, we didn't do it for the theory of it, for the kind of the quote-unquote spiritual aspect of it, but we did a lot of moving around. Host. So a Kabbalist can do everything, but in a specific, in a limited way, not to be drawn into it. Rough. No, it doesn't draw him in. Sport is you need to have physical activity. in order to keep your head straight, to keep it working. But what I mean by sports is walking, swimming. Everything else is it's just your work that you need to do at all time. Host, I want actually read a little bit of excerpt from Baal Salam's Study of the Ten Sefirot. Quote, and this about being happy with your life is for someone who discards the quality of the ego and acquires the quality of altruism, and he feels bliss and happiness. A person acquires the purpose of life in this world and in the next. Different host. Okay, so a person has certain qualities, talents, affinities from birth, naturally. How do you determine them correctly and use them correctly in your life? Rav, if a person has particular talents, and let's say he's a musician, or he's an artist, or a writer, or whatever, it's possible that he can combine Kabbalah and these special talents and activities of his, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult because you're giving into these activities. You need to commit either your heart or your brain, and really Kabbalah is what needs to possess these things, because Kabbalah takes your heart and your mind naturally. So you cannot be a scientist because you'd be walking in a different direction away from Kabbalah. Furthermore, an actor, an artist, musician, composer, these are all things that I would even say maybe you can be a good confectionery, but even then I'm not sure, because you need to invent. When you study Kabbalah, you have a lot of energy, but it's all going towards, with all of your brain, all of your heart, to aspire to the revelation of the spirituality, towards developing it, and it does not combine very well with any sort of physical activity, like doing science or art. Host, what if these talents are given to a person for him to apply them in Kabbalah? Rav, but how are you going to do that? You can't. There's nothing you can do. As strange as it is, there is no type of activity on this earth that we can apply to Kabbalah in any way, aside from the ability to write, to draw. Like when you take your abilities, your talents, and you use them in order to reveal Kabbalah further, to bring them closer to the people. Host, question: what about the theater, the arts, the things that give pleasure to my soul? Rav, well, I don't know why she thinks it's the soul that receives pleasure when she sees a certain sculpture. It's not the soul, but I understand it's a figure of speech. So I understand you still feel that way. Gradually, it's going to become more inner. But you shouldn't try to suppress it, and you try to get rid of it, to shame yourself, to chastise yourself that you still have these feelings. And you take pleasure in the arts and literature and all of these things. I'm just letting you know that as a result of your studies in Kabbalah, as you start drawing closer to the revelation of the spiritual world, it's such a all-encompassing, such a captivating thing that you're not going to have any place left over in your mind or in your heart to do anything else but to continue to do this very simple work. And this is what Rabash always said to me very often. In order to be the best way to be a Kabbalist is to be a shoemaker, a cobbler. Host, well, you don't really... Right, that's just you take a nail, you put it in a shoe, and that's it. Rav, yes, just do something very, very simple, very basic, and that will keep your mind free about on the important things. Host, so a question on the topic. I was studying Kabbalah virtually, and I started noticing that I feel less interested about the people around me. Is this my ego growing? Has something like this happened to you? Rav, Yes, it happened to me, but even before Kabbalah, of course, when a person starts studying Kabbalah, and look, you have to understand, we look in life for people who are closer to us, similar to us in their qualities and their aspirations, and what happens as a result, I remain in this world against my will, whether I want to or not, rather, with people that I find interesting. So with my students, with my friends, with my family, my kids, my grandkids. That does not relate to spirituality. As for other people, I don't have any contact with them. It happens sometimes that my former classmates, schoolmates find me, or people that I've known at different points in my life. But aside from that's like a very basic conversation, like, oh, how are you? I'm good, how are you? There's nothing. A few minutes and you have nothing to talk about. So don't worry. You can feel perfectly normal about the fact that you're being drawn away from your former acquaintances and friends. So do you need to do anything about that, Ralph? No. Like, what are you gonna do? Your paths have parted. Host, does Kabbalah support martial arts? Because it fosters in a person a lot of positive qualities, patience, discipline, and so forth. Rav, I have heard more than once from my teacher that he approves these things for one's physical, to be in shape physically and also to be able to defend oneself. But this is also only, we're talking really like physical preparation. I have never seen him actually do it. And he considered it best to walk a lot, to swim a lot, and to sometimes, go to the gym and work out at the gym. He needed to do it. He was really strong. He was like he was square, like a wardrobe, very strong, very sturdy. I was 40 years younger than him, and he was 50 years, and he was stronger than I was. He really was. He was doing physical labor all of his life. He carried sacks with concrete, like 90, 100 pounds, and he would carry them all day at a construction site, back and forth. This is the kind of job that he had. Back then, you couldn't really choose much. Whatever job you were given, you had to take. Otherwise, you wouldn't survive. So what can I tell you? I think that if a person needs it, if it's necessary for him, that he should do it. He should do martial arts. But generally speaking, I think that he will gradually find it, that as he studies Kabbalah, it will bring balance to his life. He will select everything that he needs that's in harmony for his spiritual development. Host, an important question here. If you're interested in the question of life, purpose of life, so much so that you're listening to other teachers about other spiritual beliefs, is that all right, Rav? I would not recommend mixing Kabbalah and other spiritual teachings. I would recommend to leave Kabbalah and try others. Do yoga, tarot cards, whatever you want. But don't do it all at once. You think that you'll be able to make sense of all these things, but no. You are going to get you're going to develop spiritual garbage, spiritual refuse as a result, and that's going to be very difficult to get rid of. You shouldn't do it. A person is not going to be able to, despite what he thinks, to listen to everything, to all these different beliefs and systems, and to be able to sort and make sense of everything. Host, does a person become more sensitive to pain when he studies Kabbalah or less? Rav, he becomes more sensitive, yes. He can train himself in some ways, but generally speaking, he becomes more sensitive to everything. Yes, his general sensitivity is increased. Host, we have an interesting question from Moscow. Tell me, how do you behaviorally do when you feel like you're always being tripped up in life? I feel like anything I do, anywhere I go, there's someone who's always messing with me. Is this retribution from my past life? Like, what is this, like Murphy's Law? Are you familiar with it? Does it exist? Rav, it all comes from the Creator, so don't worry about it too much. You need to certainly understand that this is how you're being raised. But is there some Murphy's Law? Like, the sandwich always falls down, butter side down? Rav, that doesn't relate to me at all. I can relate to that. Look, for me, there is a law of love, and it's always, there is a line that it follows, and I accept it as a given. So, I don't care. If whatever happens, everything that comes I feel that comes from my development. Host, so you don't try to understand why it happens, right? Just that it comes from him. Rav, I don't know, I cannot know why it comes. Only after I have gone through the state and I can rise above it to the next degree, to a certain degree, then I can partially understand, looking back, what gave me that, what that state gave me. Host, a person cannot refuse work, right? Rav, yes, of course. A person cannot needs to continue working, cannot discount labor. As far as the profession, he can have a profession. Let's say I want to be a Kabbalist and I want to be a doctor. I would tell him that, listen, it's better if you find a profession that's not gonna keep you occupied all of your life. Like at night they can call you, you're always on call. You may not be as maybe physically, like, respected materially, but you're gonna have an easier life. It's more simpler life for spiritual development. Host, but we have a lot of friends who are doctors, who are programmers, who have this very time-consuming, labor-consuming work. Rob, yes, we have those, and but at the same time, even a doctor can have a simpler job, simpler work, not be just have like a close practice host, precisely because their goal in life is different now. Rav, of course, they cannot become too serious about their profession. Like even a cook, a chef, confectionery master, like I said earlier, you can't really invent because this is not what you're thinking about. This is not what you're focused on. You don't have enough time for all this imagination and invention. Host, so follow-up question, for all of your aspirations towards cybernetics and science, has that helped you in your search? Rav? Well, look, this was before I found Kabbalah. Back in St. Petersburg, I worked I studied science, and then I did my dissertation, and then I left. So all this was part of my life well before, and I forgot all about it. I have not been studying biocybernetics since. I haven't been doing any of that. Only I remember some things from there that helped me talk about Kabbalah, to explain Kabbalah. Oh, so they do help you, Rav. Well, of course, biocybernetics is the science of governance, and so is Kabbalah. So the only difference is the level that they're talking about. But overall, It's the same. Host, but when you were studying cybernetics, did it help you? Rav, well, this is why I went to study cybernetics in the first place, to understand life. It's a theory of life's governance. It's a theory that tells you, explains how life begins, how it happens, how it's governed, where it comes from, and so forth. Like, what could be more, what would be cooler? What could be cooler than that? Right, that's the right word. Than the science. And then it turned out that, well, this is what I thought at the time. I was still young, I was a boy. It took me a while to understand those books and what it all means, and eventually I became completely uninterested in it. So when I graduated the university, all the romance, the adventure was gone. Host, question. So, without the literature that I have read earlier in life, I would not understand Kabbalah, I would not like Kabbalah as much as I do now. And Baal Sulam also read literature before, right? So, is it really refuse? Is it really garbage? Rav. Look, I'm not telling you that you shouldn't read anything else or do anything else. I'm just warning you in advance that studying Kabbalah gradually narrows your sense of vision, and you were to a point where you really only see one track, one path ahead of you, and you're going to be walking down this path, down this track, and it's going to be hard for you to do anything else from it, because everything to you is going to be, the only important thing to you will be to reveal the Creator. At the same time, you will be able to see harmony in everywhere else, in music, in film, in literature. And you will see those inner aspirations in the people and all the great renowned composers and artists and so forth. You will see that inner aspiration in them. So you'll have those inner sensations, and you're not going to need to experience them externally as much. So don't worry, Kabbalah is not going to make you narrow-minded. It's going to help you, it's going to give you the opportunity to experience life more correctly. Host, question from Kiev. Does Kabbalah not make a person initially very lazy, very egoistic, someone who doesn't want to work at all but only wants to study? Rav, well, when a person first comes to Kabbalah, it's very hard for him to do anything else but want to study. I remember when I first came, I had a very big, complex business. I had a dental clinic. I had 11 doctors working there, not including, nurses and other personnel. And it was very difficult for me to concentrate on it, to do anything with it, because I suddenly found myself immersing in a field that is revealing for me a new world. This emptiness where everything is just like shiny and sparkling and it's unclear, it's mysterious and it's incredibly alluring. You begin to see how this world was created, where it came from, what laws it's governed by, their manifest consequences in our world. So everything that exists, it's shocking. It's stunning what Kabbalah reveals to a person in a very specific way, in a very clear way. It's like it smacks you right like in between your ears, so to speak. It gives you a very precise, very clear look at the world in a way that no science can. So you don't know what to do with it when it happens. This is everything. Or what about everything else? Everything else just fell down, way down in its importance. And you don't care about anything else. You don't care about the world, this world. You don't care about anything. And this is how several months go by with a person's initial acquaintance with Kabbalah. It's just fog. I don't know, you want to call it pink fog, purple fog, but then gradually, you begin to grow awakened, where the fog begins to disperse, little by little, and a person begins to orient himself, get his bearings as to where is what, how he can balance out his life, his family, his kids. Are they even here still? So yes, this first acquaintance with Kabbalah, it astounds, it shocks, stupefies, and we need to understand that, because a new sphere, the next sphere, becomes revealed. That's out of this world. Then he gradually gets acquainted with it, gets familiar with it, and then as he begins to reveal the upper world, it's let's be honest, it's giving a person no shocks that are no less strong. But look, Kabbalists survive, so it's okay. Host, if my material existence depends on my work, then how can I get rid of it? How can I discard it and focus on spirituality? Rav, no, look, if your work does not bring harm to other people, you're not beheading anyone, you're not stealing from anyone, you're not giving them any direct harm, but it's work that is accepted in our world as normal job and normal livelihood, then you can continue doing your material work and work whatever hours you need to work, and then study Kabbalah. On top of that, you will see how it can come together, and it can come together throughout your life. Don't think that you can't do anything but Kabbalah. No. But you will need to somehow, you will see, it will become clear how whatever you do in Kabbalah, they will correlate together, they will come together. And maybe they will, and suddenly you see how imbalanced they are. You'll see how you can bring one and with the other, how you can integrate, how you can use explanations from one with the other. Host. A question: Why does a person get given certain talents naturally, so that when he comes to Kabbalah, you cannot apply these talents? Rav, my dear friends, the talents that you're talking about, compared to what they are, compared to what Kabbalah helps you to reveal in you, they're worthless. Believe me. I understand these things. When you see something mysterious, something secret before you, it's like behind the screen, and you aspire to it and you try to find it. I understand all these things. The thing is, though, it will all fade away gradually. You can do it. You can do these things, but maybe with the help of Kabbalah, you can add to your science, add new angles, new heights. You can make scientific discoveries on the basis of what you applying certain concepts from Kabbalah in your field of science. Host. Yes, actually, we had a congress here, or maybe like a small conference here 2 days ago, Kabbalah and Science, and we had all your friends, all your students here who are scientists. Rav, how many people did we have here? Over 100. Rav, yes, we had like 120, 130 people. They're all scientists and my students at the same time. And they all work in different areas of science, and they're all trying to apply the science of Kabbalah, each in their own field of activity. And once every half a year or so, I meet with them. They have a conference among themselves, and they discuss questions about the method, various things about Kabbalah and science in general, and they also have their own personal seminars according to their specialization and so forth. It's very interesting and it's very useful. I'm very fond of science, to be honest with you. I'm always happy to speak with scientists. I often meet with other scientists from different areas. Not too often, but maybe once every month or two. I usually have a scientist that comes here, and we discuss something. We talk about his field of science and about how Kabbalah can connect to it and add to each other. Host. Question. There is an opinion that soon automation will make a lot of jobs unnecessary and people are not going to be able to work. What do you think about that? Rough. There's nothing to think about it. This is the natural path of progress. We know that in our time, technology and automation, robotization, it makes human labor dispensable. It used to be that we did all the mechanical work ourselves, but then technology started taking over, and it started doing a lot more sophisticated work as well. And nowadays, they're even beginning to take on logical functions. We know that today, ships, airplanes, they're all automatically controlled. Soon we're going to have self-driving cars. Well, what do you need? You need sensors and you need various ways to coordinate the machine. So yes, it will gradually all become that way, and a person will be completely free in order to do his spiritual work. What's going to happen if an artificial intelligence is going to become so much higher than a person's? They say it's going to happen in the next 10 years. Rough. Well, even now, the computer is so much faster, right? Then so much higher than your brain. Does it mean that he's smarter, or that he calculates things better, faster? What we're talking about is something else. We're talking about spiritual revelation, your inner aspiration for that. The computer cannot replace a person in that. But in everything else you can, because everything that relates to our bodies, to our basic physical functions, you can program a computer and you can connect it to a machine and it's going to do that function. Host. We have a follow-up question that's very interesting here. All students want to get rid of school, meaning the education. They look at education as something that is unnecessary, not necessary to them. Are they correct in this or not correct? Rav, I would say this. School is necessary, but it needs to be completely different. Our schools are built on the principle of from 200 years ago. So, of course, that's absolutely incorrect. The new school, the right kind of school, is absolutely necessary, at least until a certain age. As education, as upbringing, because people, and children especially, need a special, very natural need to socialize. And we must bring a person to this point where they feel completely as one with others, and we need to start from the earliest of ages. So we're talking about pre-K and kindergarten and elementary school and so forth. But what they're going to be doing for the most part is creating the right kinds of connections, interconnections. Host. So friendship, connection, Rav, yes, like the rising above the ego. So that from a very early age, we begin to attain our world in its entirety. Host. How do you work with kids when you don't know if they're going to have spiritual aspiration? What profession do you give them? Rav. This is a problem in our world because all of our professions are gradually disappearing. So I don't know how much time we need to think about professions really. The only field, the only sphere where a person is going to keep working in for a long, long time, it's cooking, culinary arts, preparation of food in all of its forms, confectionery, baking, and so on and so forth. it's all gonna stay with us for a long, long time, but everything else is going to change very quickly. Host, because this is a basic desire. Rav, yes, of course. So delicious food, it's gonna stay with us, right? Yes, Rav. Yes, but also like design, furniture design, and manufacturing. Like, but I don't see any, serious, very promising prospects in any other profession. Host. In the world, religious people are. So many people are in religion. Can religion really be garbage? Why would the Creator keep so many people, so many billions of people in this refuse? Rav. The thing is, religion is meant to prepare a person to the point where they will begin to start aspiring to reveal the world in a more inner level. So I wouldn't discount religion. Religions are like the shells of Kabbalah. It's like a husk that Kabbalah sheds, and then it's revealed. Because Kabbalah existed before religions, almost 6,000 years ago, when Adam revealed the system of governance of our world, and throughout this time, through 2,000 years ago. So for 4,000 years almost, the world had only Kabbalah was revealed in the world. And then, when the people of Israel fell from the level of sensing the upper world to the level of sensing only this world, then this illumination of the upper world disappeared from our senses, and we remained in this world, only this world, what we feel right now. And instead of Kabbalah, we only have records of physical observance of these actions, physical actions. This is where Judaism came from, modern Judaism, and then Christianity, and then Islam. So Judaism and Christianity and Islam, they are egoistic consequences of Kabbalah. After Kabbalah fell at this method of integrating with and attaining the Creator, after it stopped existing in its true form, but all of these three so-called religions, they exist, and they will continue to exist until humanity begins to once again start rising from them to the attainment of the Creator, to Kabbalah. Host. So a question on that. If everything is created by the Creator, with goodness, with kindness, with love, why shouldn't I use everything that He gives us, including religion? So there is no garbage, right? Rav, you're right, there is no garbage. Everything is given to us by the Creator in order for us to use and to reveal the Creator from it. But it doesn't mean that you need to jump on everything that He's given you and lose yourself in it. No, you need to understand that everything that exists is going to be necessary in order to reveal the Creator on top of that, but all in due time. Host. So the fact that so many people, billions of people in the world are religious, that means that we need, that's what's necessary for the revelation of the Creator ultimately. Yes? Rav, yes, that's why we're not warring, we're not in conflict with religion. We're just saying that it's all part of the process. Host, how does Kabbalah see the structure of a person? Is a person made in the image of God, or are we looking at a person from a scientific standpoint? Rav, we're looking at a person as a protein body, a bipedal form, that's no different than any other animal. That's what a person is. But when in that person, in that animal, there is a desire to reveal the Creator that's revealed, that comes from somewhere, That desire needs to be actualized correctly. And as it's actualized correctly, it grows, it becomes like swollen almost. It acquires volume, the spiritual volume of the 10 Sfirot. And in them, a person now perceives the next world, the creator. Oh, it's no longer an animal, but human. Rav, yes, now that part of him is called human. In every other way, in every other aspect, he's an animal. Host. So that is the meaning of in the image of God? Rav, yes, of course, that is the meaning of the image of God. Host. If a person has no desire, no will to work, what do you do? Rav, look, I understand, but you need to force yourself. I understand that you feel that way when in the initial stages, but after a while, you will be able to do your work, whatever it is, and study Kabbalah at the same time. So what I ask is patience, and try to overcome these states. When if it's really getting in the way, as you're working, just try to disconnect yourself from Kabbalah, because you have to work. Host, my question is about excess. The spiritual and material. What do we need to do in order to live in excess of material and spiritual bounty? Rav, we're not going to be able to live in excess of material excess, because we're moving in a completely different direction. Look, on the one hand, it's the easiest thing for us to meet the needs, the basic needs of everyone living in the world. We have all the technology to do it. The industry to make clothes, shoes, furniture, build housing, it's all so incredibly cheap. We can do it with incredible ease. The problem is that humanity is not organized. That's all there is. So I don't think that the world there's anything bad that's threatening, and it's not going to. You can read whatever the specialists, the scientists, observers are writing about. There is nothing that's in deficit. The banks right now, they're giving out loans without interest, or even negative interest. So what are we talking about here? We're reaching like a reverse world, like a bizarre world. That's the world that we find ourselves living in right now. And it has never existed at any point in history, right? There is always a positive interest. There is always, profit motive. We're always moving forward. We're always expanding, growing. And now we're moving backwards. How do you explain it? We're looking at everything that's happening and we can't understand it. We can't explain it to ourselves. Host, the dramaturg in me asks, or relates to this. A person from Romania asks, I don't like living in Romania, but I live here. What do? I don't like the people around me, but they're around me anyway. What do? Rav, the person needs to really rise above these things. I can't imagine what it means that you love others, you don't love others. First and foremost, you need to look at it from the standpoint of your purpose in life. And then everything may just flip. You will see that things that you didn't love, suddenly you love. And other things that you thought you loved, you don't want anymore, and you're going to distance from there. Your values might shift completely. And it really doesn't matter where a person lives. You understand that I never thought that I would live the way that I do now, in this way. It's all about the goal. The goal needs to determine everything. But a person needs to have a paragon to which, a standard, right, to which he compares everything. Rav, yes, the goal. And the goal is the revelation of the Creator to creatures in this world. We don't need anything else in life. And then you're going to be completely happy. In every way, you're going to be attaining spirituality, perfection. bliss, and it's not gonna matter where you live, in which country, what you do in life, what partner you have, and none of that is gonna matter. You will understand why the Creator gave you this specific framework, and everything is gonna make sense. There is, you spoke about hunger, and you have millions of people dying of hunger, including children in a very early age, and so many others in car accidents and so forth. So all these millions of people, and we don't perceive these things. Like even in the hour that we've been talking, you have like probably thousands of people in the world have died, but we don't perceive it. We don't know about it. We say that the world is one organism, but we don't feel it, right? Why is it so? Or does a Kabbalist perceive these things? Rough. A Kabbalist does not perceive them either. The Kabbalist perceives the general desire of the entire world and the projection, where the world is going, where this engine is turning us. In all the different styles, so to speak, in a better way or in a worse way, where we're going. Host, to harmony. Rav, yes, we're all going towards harmony. Host, so we don't need to try to perceive these, the pains of all these individual people around the world. Rav, no. Kabbalist doesn't sense individual desires either, but the general desire. Host, so if millions of people have died in the hour that he spoke, then what? Rav, it's all correction. That is just correction, and it's a very different topic, and we can't really open it up right now. We can talk about it at another time. Host, we have two important announcements. May 7th through 8th, we have a big conference that's going to take place in Yekaterinburg, Odessa, and Moscow. It's a 2-day event that's going to, we're going to conclude our semester. For now, just still hold on to those dates, May 7th and 8th. There will be more information about it. In the meantime, in Moscow, there is going to be an event with Simeon Vinokur that's going to take place on April 17th to 18th. What's going to happen, Simeon? Simeon, I'm going there with my son Ilya, who's been studying Kabbalah with me for a long time, who's also a lecturer himself. It'll be very interesting to find out how he's able to balance all these things out. I think from 12 p.m., from noon to 9 p.m., we're going to have a 9-hour event. That we're going to talk about Kabbalah and all these other topics like health and Torah, and there will be other. There is a very intense program that's being planned. That's April 17th in Moscow. We're going to show information where it is, so you can register. And for now, we have the Blitz. Question: is there such thing as repentance for past events in Kabbalah? Rav, no. There is no need to repent for anything. Everything was done by the Creator up until this moment, and it was all correct. Question: is it possible to awaken simple people who have dove headfirst into social life? It looks like they're going to go extinct. Rav, through the same social sites, try to get them out. Question: is it true that heavy souls can exist, that unlike regular souls cannot be corrected? Are there such souls? Rav, no, absolutely not. Everyone has their own role, and if the asker has a desire for Kabbalah, and the fact that she's sitting here listening to us it means that she doesn't have a heavy soul. I don't feel it in her either. She's just giving herself an excuse. Question: I have lots of questions for you, dear teacher, but while I'm forming them, I find the answers automatically. What do I do? Rav, so ask them and answer them yourself. Yes. Host. Question: what can prevent a person from studying Kabbalah correctly? Rav: Only one thing can prevent a person from studying correctly: the absence of the right desire. You don't need anything else, just this right desire. And the desire will bring you to the right place where you need to study Kabbalah and to set yourself in the proper environment. And also, if you combine yourself with other beliefs and systems of beliefs. Rav, yes, but the desire will determine everything. So my wish is to you, write to our friends here, to the hosts, about the questions, the topics that you want to talk about, you want to clarify, so that you would be happy and you would be interested, and demand to them to bring them up with me, and this is what we're going to talk about. Thank you very much to everyone. Good luck, be happy, be healthy, and I wish you all the success in attaining the true spiritual world around us. Be well.